Hey guys, happy Spellcraft Sunday. I haven't done one of these in so long and I'm so excited to do this particular spellcraft with you today. So, like we normally do, however, this one is like really boosted up because I absolutely love doing what we are going to do today. So in what I believe is February's Witch's Moon box, we got this awesome Scott Cunningham Incense, Oils, and Brews book, and I absolutely love it. I have other oil brew recipe books very similar to this, but I did not have this one, and I know it's a staple. So along with other things that we got from the Witch's Moon box, resins and things like that, I did a poll on my communities tab to see what you wanted to kind of see from here. And it was a tie between incense and inks, but I believe incense beat it out by like maybe 1 vote or 2 votes. So I'm so happy that the majority of you chose incense because it's by far one of my most favorite things to do and make for my apothecary shop. So a lot to learn today. We're going to be going over what types of incense. We're going to be going over how to properly burn resin. I think I may have done a tutorial on that on my Instagram, but I don't think I've done it here. So let's take the time to kind of go over how to burn resin. What is combustible, non-combustible incenses? What are the things that you're going to need? I have a bunch of things we're going to review today. So either take some notes. I do have some kits in my shop for you, just in case you want to try it out, but you don't want to invest in all the things. The reason why we are doing this video a little bit after Sunday is because I had to actually order material. So some of these things aren't like readily available. I called my metaphysical shops. They didn't have some of these certain things, so I had to wait to get these things in so I can do this video. So saying that, if you just want to try it and see if even making your own incense is something that you're into, or you just rather support shops like me who already do things like that, I do have a kit, so that way you're paying a fraction of the price and you can see if it's worth it for you. However, lots to learn, lots to do, lots to make. So if you're interested in all about Incense 101, then continue watching. So let's jump right into it. The first thing that we are going to create today is non-combustible incense. Now, what does non-combustible mean? Well, combustible means that it's a material that can ignite quickly and burn itself. So when you have non-combustible ingredients, that means that it can't self-ignite. So what do we mean by that? Let's describe that more. So if I have some cinnamon, some sweet wood, this is non-combustible. That means if I put a flame to this, most likely it's going to char, but it won't ignite itself and it won't keep itself burning. However, if we talk about, let's say, a piece of charcoal, charcoal is a combustible material. What that means is that it has ingredients in it like saltpeter, or, you know, same thing as potassium nitrate, which is like an igniter. So most likely a charcoal or any incense sticks or cones that you buy today from anywhere is most likely going to have something that is a combustible ingredient like potassium nitrate. So those are the differences. So when we talk about non-combustible incense, this is like the easiest part, right? This is the one that I really enjoy because it's not too much measurements, it's not too much thinking. I can really hone in, really enjoy the herbs, crush them down, and then put them on a burner, because non-combustible incense needs to be put on something that is burning, like the resin charcoal. So let's make some non-combustible incense. And this is the incense that are in my kits in my shop. This is the natural herbal incense. All of those good things are non-combustible. They are going to need a heat source or a burning source to make them smoke or smolder. So I really love and enjoyed the one in Cunningham's book. So let me just put this aside and I'll show you. I've really been enjoying the incense portion of this book. And they have this like little ticker here, this little ribbon that's really nice to kind of, you won't lose your place. So I think in chapter 5, just missed it, tells you how to create your own recipes. Really fun. I love how they give, you know, the signs and the elements and the planets for certain things that you're trying to do, which is nice. So then they give you some really beginner recipes to make just your, what does he call it? He calls it something that's really nice. I think it's like empowered incense. So in the chapter 5, they tell you what empowered incense is. And it's basically putting your intention, putting your manifestation into each herb or material. And then while you're grinding it up, you are empowering your incense. So empowered incense in this book is really just an incense blend that you make that has been empowered by your manifestations and things like that. So we're going to try number 4, and all of number 4 will be in the kit. I'll show you later what that looks like. So you're going to need frankincense, orange peel, cinnamon, and juniper. So I have some sweet wood you saw here. Don't need much. I have some frankincense. They asked for juniper, so I just wanted to show you this real quick. This is a really simple way if you are interested in storing herbs, starting an apothecary shop like I do. This glass is from the Dollar Tree. This label is from Avery, and it's just really simple. These are all the all of my, you can see everything that I store are in these jars. Sandalwood, it's an incense, super cute. Orange peel, incense. So you'll see all of these things, but I just wanted to call it out and show you how I store my incenses from my shop. So you're going to need some cinnamon, some frankincense, some juniper. So here you don't really have to measure. Whereas combustible, it's really important because the combusting agent like potassium nitrate needs like a very small percentage, and you need to be accurate with that percentage. So here without that kind of lighting agent, you can be a little bit more free with what you choose. So we have that, and then the last thing that we can put here is some orange peel. All right. So again, we are following Cunningham's recipe. We have frankincense, orange peel, cinnamon, and juniper. So let's get started. Okay, so now that we have our incense and our resin, it's time to grind up our materials using our mortar and pestle. So what this is it can be anything. It could be wood. Mine is kind of like a marble type. I also have some like this one that are in my shop. Really beautiful. This is also kind of like a granite type. You just want it to be really sturdy because you're going to chomp and swirl and do things and you don't want it to crack. So I do have some in my shop. If you do not have a mortar and pestle, you don't have to actually use this. I just, as a practitioner using herbs and things like that for my apothecary, I really love the old art of grinding herbs up into a mortar and pestle, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But if you don't prefer this, if you want to do things a little bit quicker, if you are trying to push out product, if you do own a shop, you may want to get like an electric grinder. That's fine too. I just feel like when you set your intentions and you're working and you're really in tune and in the mode to make some magical things, I really love using my hands and kind of sticking away from any electronical things if possible. But no tea, no shade. If that's what you prefer, then go right ahead. So we are going to start putting our ingredients in. So I like to do a pinch of each, and if I have to come back, then you know, we can come back to it, but I don't want to put more or less of anything in here, and then we'll see where we kind of go. Sometimes I do end up putting a little bit more frankincense just because I love burning resin, and it's a slow burner. So herbs usually burn quicker than any gum type of resins like myrrh, Arabic, frankincense, things like that. Frankincense is a slow burner. So when you mix in your resin herb recipe, you kind of want to tend to use a little bit more frankincense. So that way it keeps hot and it keeps the herbs from just completely burning off, and you'll lose that really nice smolder. All right, so how to work with the mortar and pestle. So what you want to do is, now that you see here, we have all of our ingredients really nice and natural in here. So before we start grinding, you want to kind of break up. You're going to take the pestle part. The pestle part is the part that is what you use to grind, and it usually has a rounded side, just like this one. This is brand new from my shop, but the round part is what you want to use if you have something like that. So this is the pestle part of the mortar and pestle. So what you want to do is you want to just kind of come in here and break apart the frankincense as much as possible, and then we'll go into grinding. Oh my God, you guys, this smells so good already. It doesn't need any essential oil. When you work with cedar and sweet wood and things like that, like the cedar, pine, it always kind of, even when crushed or ground, it like rejuvenates its evergreen smell. So it just smells so good. But this is what it should look like once you've pounded and broke up the frankincense. You can leave it chunky like this. That's my preferred way when I do my incense for my shop. I love leaving them chunky like this so you can really tell and distinguish what exactly is in there. However, if you're a person who really likes their stuff grounded, like this cedar, what you're gonna do is that you're gonna take your pestle and you're gonna put it in the middle, and then you're going to grind it in a pretty much clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on what you want, right? Just very much like spell work. The way you turn things is very relevant in magic. So counterclockwise, wanting things to promote things, to attract things towards you. Counterclockwise, banishing, getting rid of things. I mean, it's all relative, and the sky's the limit. Again, so you take your pestle in the middle, then you angle it to the sides, and then you use the sides to help you grind. And then you keep doing this and keep doing this until your powder is ground. So now that we have ground it up, it's not exactly powder, but I think we can stop here. I think that's fine. It's pretty fine. And the powder kind of goes in the bottom, and you can kind of sift it out and then start all over. So you can pour it out, sift out the powder, and then keep grinding the residual materials that you have. But I think this is good. So let's just put this in our little bowl here. All right, so now we've made a really small batch of non-combustible incense. So next I'm going to show you how to properly burn a charcoal disc and burn this type of resin and incense. Okay, so here is a really small little resin burner. This is actually can burn cones too. You just don't want to burn this on anything that can melt. On wood, this is wood here, but it's surrounded by metal. I also have this wood on top of a stone plate, so that way if it does get hot, my my table is protected. So you always want to use protection. You always want to have things to put out a fire nearby, because you are now dealing with combustible items. So how you will burn your charcoal disc is that you absolutely need to use fire safety. So if never hold a disc and then ignite it, because this has potassium nitrate in it. So it's like gunpowder. Once you ignite it, it's going to kind of move throughout the resin and it's going to ignite itself. Always, always use a pair of tongs. I have in my shop, this is one of the tools. This is called Tools of the Trade Resin Burning Kit. You'll have a stick of the charcoal discs. You'll have a pair of tongs that have like a little pentacle on it, really pretty, a pair of matches, and this is basically all you need to set up after you've done completing your incense. So here I'm going to take a little piece. This is my personal tongs, nothing too special. You know, you don't really need anything too fancy unless you want to. Then you're going to take, and you see how it sparked like that? It's sparking. That's the potassium nitrate. So once you get that spark and once you see that it's starting to kind of like do that a little bit, that means it's igniting itself. Now it's combusting. This piece of charcoal is now combusting, and you can leave it alone, set it down, and it'll continue to warm itself up and continue to ignite itself within like maybe 1 to 2 minutes. So after you ignite your charcoal disc, you're going to see some gray, this area right here. You're going to see some gray form. That's completely natural, and that's a good sign. So when your entire disc is gray, that's a good indication that it's completely the same pretty much heat. It's all been ignited, it's all heated, and it's ready for you to start doing your incense work. Okay, there's a little bit left, but I think that's fine. We're just gonna proceed, but the majority of it being gray is what you want. That means that the heat is evenly dispersed. So a lot of things that I see that I would do differently, and I don't want to say that my way is the right way. I just want you to think and come to your own conclusions. When you put a piece of resin like this straight on top of the disc while it's really hot, you can put your hand over it. I can't even put my hand over it for that long because it really is that hot. So be very, very careful. So when you, let's just say you put a piece of resin like this, yay big, onto the piece of charcoal, really think about it. You don't have to use books or other types of things. Think about what's going to happen to that resin. If you put a piece of food on a really hot stovetop, what do you think is going to happen to that food? It's going to burn. So, but burn in a way that it's not smoldering your incense. It's not smoldering this piece of resin. It's just straight burning resin. And it may smell nice for a second, but once it really starts to cinder, it's going to not smell as great. What I suggest and what I've learned and what I'm passing down to, my family when that day comes, is that I like to use a little bit of sand, a little bit of salt, a little bit of things to kind of stifle the heat a little bit, so that way you are in control of how much you want to smolder, and you can kind of control the heat. Because this is really, really hot, I have my black sand here, and I'm just going to take like a half a teaspoon, and I'm going to put it on top of the disc. What that does is it's a barrier between the direct heat and the incense that you just made, right? Perfect. So now I can control this heat. I can put a nice dollop of what we made, and it's going to smoke it. It's going to be a little bit tempered down, and it's not going to straight burn our resin. So I have our mixture here. And then I'm going to just put a little bit on here, and right away you can see that it starts to smoke. But it's not burning, it's smoldering. So the waft is really nice. A scent from the resins, from the cedar, the juniper, from the orange. It smells really, really good. And then once that's done, so it'll be a little bit, but once that's done, you can either take it off, put some more sand, or you can leave it on, mix more sand with the residue, and keep on tempering the heat. You can also just keep adding. And there you go, beautiful. Okay, so now that we've made our non-combustible resin herbal incense, and it smells so good, it's smoldering in the back, and it just smells so good. I wish you guys can have smell-o-vision because it's just amazing. The next one that we're going to talk about is combustible. Now this is a fun part. This is completely new to me, so I'm glad that you guys actually chose to do incense because I've never created an incense cone, stick, nothing. So doing a combustible option is really cool. However, I didn't have some of the ingredients. So you're going to need a resin, powdered, that can absorb water quickly. So what Cunningham suggests is to use gum tragacanth, or you can use like Arabic gum, just a gum that is, it really absorbs the water. Because what you're going to do now is that you're going to put the igniting power, you're going to put agents that will self-combust. So once you put all that together, it needs to have like a base, and primarily that's the gum and some water. So I have my water here, and this is the tragacanth gum. So I'm going to take a teaspoon. So when you're mixing your own combustible incense, you really want to go in parts, and that's how I like to do it, and that's how Cunningham also likes, he shows you. So instead of like, ounces or grams, he just tells you to do parts. So if you want to get a teaspoon, 1 part is 1 teaspoon. So in the book, when he says 6 parts this, 5 parts that, 2 parts of this, that just means whatever number is the number of teaspoons. So gather your unit of measure, which is 1 teaspoon. And when he says 1 part, that's all that you would do, just 1 teaspoon, and then multiply that. So I'm going to take let's just say I'm going to use 2 teaspoons. I think this is already calculated out, of tragacanth. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to put the water very slowly. We don't want to just dump water because you don't want it to be too wet. You want it to be a consistency of like a nice paste. So let me show you how to add the water in slowly, mix slowly, and mix. You can always add more powder or more water, but this tragacanth is really expensive, so try to maintain the, like, let's just say 1 tablespoon per a 1-to-2 ratio of water. So once you've mixed all your tragacanth thoroughly, it's going to look like a gummy paste like this. Very ooey. You can even kind of blend this more. I feel like if you're doing bulk, you might want to actually take like a hand mixer and whip it up really well. It's going to get some like frothy type of like residue skimming the top. You can take that right off, but as long as you have some consistency like that, I think it's fine. Then you're going to take a wet towel and just kind of keep that around and just make sure that it has like the moisture. You don't want it to kind of paste back up again, because then you're gonna have to add water and then it's just a big old mess. So get it to a nice consistency, put some wet towel over it and just leave it aside. So now what we're going to do is that we're actually going to start making a incense cone, making a combustible incense cone. So using Cunningham's book again, he basically shows you how to do the tragacanth, and then he gives you a couple cone incense bases. One here is with charcoal. I'm not doing that today because it's very, very messy. And then one is using sandalwood in replacement of the charcoal, which is fine. I have sandalwood and cedar. I actually kind of did a blend of the both, and that's also included in the kit. So, and then he goes on to kind of just tell you how to do it. What I found interesting and that I didn't have is orris root. And orris root is going to counterbalance the bitter smell from the tragacanth. So that way when you go to burn your incense cone, it's more fragrant and not so bitter from the resin. So let's get started. So here is where your measuring spoons are going to come into play. These are really, really pretty ones that I got from Magnolia. I got as a Christmas present. If you like these, there's a whole bunch more that I just use for my magical crafting. Let's use half a teaspoon because I think we can make maybe just one and then save the rest for personal use. So in Cunningham's book, his cone incense base number 2 starts off with 6 parts of sandalwood. So like I said, your unit of measure now is going to be a half a tablespoon or half a teaspoon. So when he says 6 parts, you're just going to do just that. You're going to take 6 half a teaspoon measurements. 4, 5, 6. I really love working in parts, that way you are in control of how much. I hate when people say like 80% of this or 20% of that. It's like, what does that even mean? Just give me the units of measure and then your parts, and then I can follow along. So then the second part is benzoin powder. So you're going to need 2 parts of that. So this is benzoin powder. We are making the cone base again. Next is 1 part ground orris root. So we'll put that in there. There you go. The next thing is essential oil. You're going to take 6 drops of your preferred essential oil. And I feel like with the cedar and the sandalwood and the benzoin, I think peppermint is such a nice kind of soothing type of oil, and it promotes like, you know, luck and success and things like that. So, and I just love peppermint. It's very, very calming, especially if I'm having a hectic day. It kind of just like relaxes me, but it is nice to promote those type of things as well. So you're going to take 6 drops of the peppermint. This is from Nature's Technology. This is a local fragrant essential oil, all those type of things. It's a really, really nice shop that I get a lot of my supplies from. So I always try to get my raw supplies locally. So when you buy from my shop, you also are supporting small businesses in the Pocono area. So it's really nice. So I'll do 6 drops of that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Love peppermint. So good. And then the last part is 3 to 5 parts of incense, your incense mixture. So let's do 4, like right in the middle. 2, 3, 4. So this is a nice mixture. This can probably get us a couple cones. So you're just going to mix that up very thoroughly. I would even take, like, you know, this to a mortar and pestle again if you wanted to, but I kind of want to leave. I just love chunky things. I just love, like, even my herbal incense. I love leaving it chunky. I love chunky peanut butter. I don't, you know, it's nice, fine, but let's just see how it is when the incense cone is a little bit on the chunkier side. Will that affect the burning? Probably not. Just give that a good stir. Make sure that all the components and all your ingredients are well mixed together. Again, if you want this more sanded, that's not a big deal. Just put it back in your mortar and pestle and just get that a little bit more grounded up, and I'm sure it'll be really nice to build. All right, so the next step here, we're gonna take, that's our mixture. We are gonna add the saltpeter, that potassium nitrate. So this is where people get kind of hung up. So, and you want to be careful because you should never really add more than 10% of potassium nitrate. So it's really handy that you have a scale around, or just put a less, more, you know, over more, because it might burn too quickly or it might not even burn at all. And it's, you know, you don't want it to be like a poof type of thing. It is like an igniter after all. So let's take it to the ounces. If you are starting a candle, I have one of these. This is like one of my best tools. If you are doing candles, soaps, incense, things like that, like, and you need a measurement, I love this Oziri kitchen scale. It's perfect. So what we're going to do is that we are going to tare this to 0, and we're going to weigh our incense mix. That's 0.35 ounces. So what we're going to do with the potassium nitrate is that we're going to add 10% of 0.35 ounces to this mixture. Okay, so I converted it to grams. It's a little bit easier. So this is about 1 gram, which is about 0.035 ounces. To be exact, is 0.99, but I mean, we can take it to the gram. I feel like when you work larger quantities, it's probably a little bit easier to do the ratio, but just always remember that the potassium nitrate or saltpeter that you're using is 10% of your mixture. Take my tragacanth, remove that. I'm going to take this half a teaspoon out, and we're going to do 1 teaspoon at a time with this. So what we're going to do is that we're going to take the tragacanth gum 1 teaspoon at a time, and then just keep stirring it until you have a really nice dough-like consistency. You don't want it too dry where you can't mix a shape, and you don't want it too wet because it's just going to take forever to dry. And by the way, I will try to dehydrate it, but I might not have a finished cone for this video, but we can always return back to it, or I can put it on the communities tab and let you know how it worked out. So I'm going to take a little bit here. It's very gummy. It's like, the name is perfect. And then you just want to mix it with your hands. Get your hands dirty. You can get a tool, but that's no fun. That's the fun part. So just get in here and mix it with your hands, and I feel like that's just more magical. Here you can put your intents. Here you can put what you will it to be, and just keep mixing it together. Here's a finished product. This is one that we did and it's a little bit more coarse. This is still wet, and this is one that I was able to grind up more and dehydrate. Typically you will let this dry naturally, but I wanted to just see if it lit and how well it does. So let's give that a good light. And there it goes. It looks like it's doing well. It will just kind of siphon itself out. and then it's starting to smoke. So I'm really happy with the cone. I'm probably going to be doing this more for my practice. Not sure if that's going to be something that I'm going to if I'm going to offer this in the shop. It does take quite some time, but maybe I'll do some sticks and things like that. So I love the way this incense came out. It smells so good. It's actually really easy, you guys, once you get the hang of all of the preparations. But yeah, these are the cones that we made for today. Tools of the Trade incense making kit. So this, if you open it up, it will have instructions, just it's not in here now. So it comes with a boatload of stuff that you can use. So we have the sandalwood and juniper that we used for our empowered incense, ground benzoin, orange peel. Again, a lot of these things that we got from the witch's moon. So I'm basically just showing you how to use your witch's moon, or if you don't, you can purchase some of these items if you don't have. This is just straight up ground cedar. This is the tragacanth powder, frankincense, the saltpeter, potassium nitrate, and the orris root. So all of these is what you will need to make the actual herbal incense, and the incense cone. So this all comes in a nice pouch like this, all of the items that you need, along with instructions. And that basically is what we're doing today. So I'll leave the link for the YouTube video, or you can put the instructions in your grimoire and always come back to the set. So I'll probably have about 5 of these. So if you're watching this video, definitely go ahead and snag one so you have all the tools to make what we learned today. Okay, so here is the giveaway. This is the video. Come in here, the video URL, copy paste. There you go. Filter out duplicates. So if you sent more than one comment, I appreciate it, but only one for this giveaway, and then we're gonna go ahead and press start. $39 comments. All right, there we go. Nikki Smotherman. Yarrow for healing, rosemary for its multiple culinary and witchy smoke, sage for its purifying, patchouli because it's me. I love that. Nikki, you are the winner of the resin kit, and I put a little bit of frankincense. I will leave a picture up here just to see what you won. Make sure that you check out the description. I'll leave my email there so you can reach out to me with your address. So thank you guys so much for entering the giveaway, and thank you, Nikki. Congratulations. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it useful. I hope that you can take away some notes from this. And if you like me getting some recipes and how-tos from Cunningham's book, drop me a comment below and I may do some more. But thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.